What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. Office hours are open, if we can call them that. But just checking in to see if anyone has any last-minute questions for assessments that might be this week, next week, or otherwise. I know the year is winding down, but there are still a lot of assessments happening. So if you have any questions, if you want to share your assessment tasks and get some feedback on best approach or possible approaches, how to structure your essays, how to go about a multimodal, please put them in the comments and I will be more than happy to try and assist. So if you're just tuning in, remember that under these live stream videos, when they're published on YouTube, is a link that you can submit responses through, and I will then take the kind of the earliest submissions, first in best dressed, and provided they're not like a huge essay, I will have a look at them and give you live feedback on these streams. I don't think we had too many come through in the last week. There is still a little bit of a backlog, but just because it's the end of year and people are not checking out just yet, I think some people are checking out. Some schools finishing tomorrow even. I'm kind of just checking in briefly here to see if anyone has any last-minute questions about assessments that might be coming up. Maybe you are getting a head start on next year. Maybe you want to know how you should organize your study over the break. So I'll hang around for a little bit in case you guys have any questions. These live streams will definitely ramp up next year as you go through your assessments and exams. We'll be having some guests quite frequently. I'm going to try and bring on some really good guests. I'm going to be doing interviews with the people who end up getting the best results from this year. I'm going to share all of that on the YouTube channel, so make sure you tune into that as they're released and as we share them. That should be pretty fun. And yeah, obviously we're continuing to build the tools on JeddAI. If you don't have your free JeddAI subscription yet, you're crazy because it's free. So just go to jeddle.com, get the free JeddAI. There are some huge updates coming soon. So just get your account now. And as you need to work on drafts and get feedback, get instant questions to practice with, know exactly what kind of grade or mark you're currently at based on all the relevant standards and marking criteria. That's what you're going to be able to do all throughout next year and beyond, depending on what year you're in, specific to your curricula. So make sure you get your free JeddAI account today. Upgrade if you find it useful. You can also get expert feedback from our team as well if you want to submit things over the break, over the Christmas break, which is a great time to get ahead with some of your drafts. That's all possible. Thanks for the question. How can I cut one sentence down from my response because I went over the time limit? So you went over the time limit when you actually had to write it out, and now you realize in hindsight that it was one sentence too long. Is that the scenario? If so, the first place I look to cut down an essay, assuming it's an essay. Let me know some more context if you can. Just get specific on what type of response and what it currently looks like. But the first place I'd look to cut down an essay is the conclusion. You can still get full marks in an essay, even with a solid one-sentence conclusion that hits the question and kind of clearly restates the thesis and ideally ends on a note that's basically saying, hey, after proving what I've just proven, this is what we as responders or the audience are left to consider, to reevaluate. We're challenged to now going forward, reflect on this or reevaluate this. Even for a multimodal where you are doing effectively a spoken essay with a slightly different tone, you've got a specific audience perhaps, that's fine. But a multimodal, you probably have a couple of concluding lines. One sentence conclusion is fine for that, as with an essay. I always start with a default of 2 sentences for a conclusion, but it definitely can be 1 if it has to be. Ended up doing that a lot for my HSC. And link sentences as well aren't as important, right? If we had to kind of have a hierarchy of importance, introduction is really important. You want that to be high quality. It's the first thing the marker reads or hears. And your topic sentences are incredibly important. Any chance to provide conceptual nuance, so to give a really sophisticated idea, you want to keep all of that material, but link sentences at times can be repetitive. So that's the last sentence of your body paragraph. Now, are they important? Yes, they kind of help sum up and relate what you just analyzed to and relate that to the question. But if you had to cut things down, I would work from the bottom back up, because what people hear and read first is a little bit more important because it's setting an impression. So go to your last body paragraph and cut out the last, that link sentence of the last body paragraph, okay? Hopefully that is enough already. So you cut down the sentence on the conclusion, your final link sentence, if it's just that you need to cut down. And then there's a process of looking at your individual sentences of analysis within each body paragraph and evaluating whether, those two sentences need to be two sentences, or really could they be one? So how many unique points are you making in the body paragraph? And are you using up too much time, too many words to make one point? You might be repeating yourself at times. You might have split up a point into two sentences. So I would try and merge some sentences and remove the less impactful or meaningful points. So if you feel like any of your points have repeated a point you've already made, you can just scrap those. Okay, so you want to make sure every sentence is adding value. So that's the kind of kind of end to start process of cutting things down. Start at the bottom of the essay or the multimodal presentation with the conclusion. Really cut that down because that's the least important part, more or less. Then the link sentence of the last part, you can cut that out or cut that down, and then look to merge or remove sentences of analysis from within your body paragraph that aren't genuinely offering a new point or new value. And a lot of students struggle with that. Students also often have quotes that are too long. So it might not be a matter of cutting out a whole sentence, but rather that is the first thing I would look to do, like cutting out bigger sections if you can, if they don't need to be there. But then also, can you shorten your quotes? A lot of students have quotes that are like 1 or 2 lines long when they actually could be 4 words in terms of the essential quotes. And you could probably chop up your quote and just keep the key parts integrated into your sentence. Focus on the point you're actually making rather than using up so much time by just reciting a quote from the text. That's not going to get you any bonus points. So you want to make your quotes as short as possible so they still make sense, so they flow naturally into your sentence, which, by the way, is easier if they are shorter. It's easier to make a quote flow into a sentence like a normal sentence if it's shorter, because you can manipulate the words around it more easily. And make sure you have just enough of the quote. As short as possible means you have just enough to still provide the evidence you need for your technique that you've stated, and to give enough context to that piece of evidence. So there's like 4 things I would do off the bat to cut down your essays or multimodal responses, okay? Conclusion, shorten that all the way up to 1 sentence. The last, what's up, Phoenix? Great to see you. The last body paragraph link sentence, you can cut that if you need to cut one. Then have a look at all of your sentences of analysis and see if you're repeating any of the same points, or you are taking 2 sentences to explain a point rather than 1. Seek to compress those, make them more compact, remove all of the fluff. And then the 4th thing was look at your quotes and shorten your quotes and chop them up so that more words are spent on your analysis and less words are on the evidence. So all of that together should help you cut down your essays quite a lot. Phoenix, what is good? Great to see you. What's happening? What's happening in your life at the moment? I don't know if we'll get many other questions. So give me a rundown of what Christmas is looking like. What's next year looking like for you, Phoenix, if you're still here? Graduated, amazing, congratulations. Waiting for results coming out soon, right? I did look it up the other day, of course, but let me just confirm, I don't want to get it wrong. 18th of December, moment of truth. Yeah. I'll almost definitely have a stream going there. I want to bring on some students, see some live results. Phoenix, will you check in if we go December 18 for the results, if we do a bit of a stream? Would you check in on that day? Tell us how you went. If you're happy to share, that'd be cool. Do a little results party on the live stream. Sweet. Book it in. Let's see, 18th, Thursday. That should work. We'll see how many students we can get checking in, and everyone can kind of get a sense of how everyone's going. Hopefully it's a good day. Add it to calendar. Try and do it. Let me have a look at the exact time here. I know people get like SMSs and they come out 9 a.m. typically released with the ATARs. So maybe at 9 a.m. we'll do a check-in, but you might be with your family, friends, celebrating, having some time there. So could be that evening. We'll post it. Okay, you'll see it on socials when we're actually going to start it. 97 plus, 97 ATAR, that is. I mean, if it's 97 in English, that'd be incredible. You might get a state rank if you get 97. But 97 ATAR, that would be a really good mark. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I guess the ATAR itself, so it's all the same day now, isn't it? Used to be one day after the other. No 97 in English. That is a really hard mark. Usually that would get someone in the top 20, 97, 98, top 20 in the state. How am I adapting to the new syllabus? Adapting well. We've got the team is on it. We've been building the new resources all year. We've got obviously year 12 rolling out at the end of next year, and then we've got year 11 rolling out at the start of the year. So we're busy. We're busy getting on with that, and looking forward to it. There's some interesting new texts on the list, and we've got the best people on them. So that's it. Hopefully we've got a whole new kind of, not brand of content, but a whole new series of content for YouTube and the Jeddle website as well. Kind of doing breakdowns of a lot of these new texts and modules. I'm sure everyone will be eager to get on top of it. What's up, Josh? You're getting like 40s in English, just don't know how to begin writing or adapt to the question. Well, obviously two different problems there, big ones, two big problems. You need how to begin writing. You need to start really simple. Okay, it sounds like obvious advice, but I mean, like, don't try and get the first word right. Just focus on having a basic sentence starters. Start with your topic sentences when you're drafting an essay. Okay, start with your topic sentences. So lay out your 3 key ideas for the 3 paragraphs. Don't start with your introduction, because what are you introducing? So you need to make a plan, a scaffold, and start with the 3 ideas. You can literally say, excuse me, the author explores ... fill that in. That's your first idea. Think about what 3 ideas you want to break down for the text, and think about the ideas chronologically. How can you make your life as simple as possible, Josh? You can think about what's the problem in the text. Usually that's established at the beginning of the text, the first third. Then what's the consequence of that problem, or what's the response of people to that problem? Usually that unfolds in the middle of the text. There's a series of events, complications, etc. Okay, investigate that. Is there a resolution? Where would that happen? Typically at the end of the text. So that frames your 3 body paragraphs. Give me the key idea that relates to the problem as your first one. The author explores this problem. Okay, don't use the word problem, but explore that. And then do a second topic sentence for consequently, what individuals respond to this way, or this happens, right? As an idea, what's the idea that follows on? And then for the last one, however, or nonetheless, individuals are able to rediscover their freedom or rediscover their identity by doing this. So write them as 3 cause and effect statements in relation to the problem, the consequence or response, and the resolution. That's the 3 body paragraph structure that will adapt to any question. And start simple with a basic sentence starter, like the author explores, fill in the blank. Make sure it's a cause and effect. How do you do a cause and effect? You can start really simple and say, the author explores how something causes or leads to something. How governments with too much power leads to individuals having their freedom taken away because power corrupts. Okay, so you write out a sentence like that. Don't try to make anything perfect on the first go. You will then do edits. All the magic is in the editing. It doesn't happen in the first draft. It sounds like if you don't know how to begin writing, you need basic sentence starters, you need a basic scaffold, and you need to have a framework. And that's why I just gave you that basic framework for a 3-body paragraph essay structure. Start with your topic sentences with basic sentence starters, and then edit after that from there. In terms of your sentences of analysis, you can just grab 3 pieces of evidence to back up each of those points, and then start with a basic sentence structure like literally the word "the" starts the sentence for you. The technique, insert the technique like a metaphor. In the quote, insert your quote, and then reveals, suggests, put a verb in there, and then go on to say what it reveals in terms of the idea, right? And that's where all the marks come from, is how you explain the idea. So that's how you can start with a structure, all right? Get your 3 topic sentences, find 3 examples or pieces of evidence that will provide further points or more specific points in relation to those 3 ideas. Get the early drafts done straight away, and then spend a lot of your time editing and refining. And then when you're happy with the 3 bodies, do the introduction last when you're drafting. Okay, that's how you can get on top of beginning with your writing, okay? It also helps, of course, like in terms of what to write, you need to read something or watch something, the text that you're studying. So read summaries, read basic summaries on the internet to start with if it's overwhelming to read the whole text at once. Look at videos on it. Go to the Jeddle YouTube channel if you're not already watching it now, and see if there's some analysis videos there. Get a sense of what happens in the text first and foremost, so you understand the characters and the plot, and then start to look at some different forms of analysis that have been written, and obviously, ideally, read the text yourself. But get your head around that, then do what we just said in terms of beginning to write. So you need to read summaries and read the text, do that basic structure, and then how do you adapt to the question? I'll give you 1 tip for adapting to the question. Okay, land and expand. Land and expand. What does that mean? It means when you've already got a draft, say you've got your draft essay, and then you see that the question has certain keywords. So you get asked a new question, unseen question. It gives you a few key terms that you need to use. Your mission is to land and expand on those key terms in each sentence, more or less, right? It might be 1 at a time. But in a sentence, you go, hey, here's my existing sentence. Where can I land in that sentence? Where's the best place for the key term of the question to land? So you got to locate the best part where it works into, because you're basically going to rewrite the sentence by making the necessary adjustments. But you need to find the right spot. So really knowing your sentences will help you do this. But you locate the best spot, and then when you use the key term of the question, and you should use the actual key term, you expand. So now that you've landed in the right part of your draft sentence, you then need to expand on it, because it's not enough to just repeat a keyword of the question. You need to expand. You need to say something else. So the best way to expand is to ask yourself what type, and put an adjective before the keyword. So let me give you an example here, Josh. So if the keyword equaled power, like how does the text represent power? Here's what happens. You say political power, because you've said what type of power. You say political power. Okay, and that already is expanding. That's what expand is. Okay, so now you can do a lot more types of expansions, but that's a very basic example where if the key word of the question was power and you say political power, you've already expanded a little bit on the key term, and you've said more than the question, as long as the question didn't say political power, right? Then you need to say something else about it. But that's a very basic example. But if you do that every single time you use a key word and you add an adjective or you say something after it, then you're going to do really well. So don't overcomplicate the process of adapting. You just got to land in the right spots in your sentence to make it work. Where does it best fit? And then how can I expand on it? Ask yourself mini questions. What type? What type of power? Political power. How does power work? Well, that might be a hard one to answer if we don't have a specific example. But what about why power? Why do people want power? People like power because they want control. Okay, people desire control. But so what about power? Why do we care about power? That's a great question. What's the significance of power? Why do we care? So what? Well, if you ask yourself, so what, you might get to the point of, well, people desire power, political power, because they like to control, but power corrupts. So it can actually deprive people of their freedom. If someone corrupts the power, it can actually lead to someone being exploited or taken advantage of. Okay, so now you're making a point about power. That's the key, right? Hopefully in your draft, you've already said something that you could rework as to do with power, but you've got to practice adapting a lot and get very familiar with that process of being flexible with what you have. And you need to be willing to get rid of some things and add things in. But if nothing else, at least do the land and expand strategy, because that means you're going beyond the question, but you're still engaging with the direct terms of the question, and you're letting the marker know that you're answering the question. So I don't even know if Josh, are you still on here? I mean, I can see there's one or two of you still on, and hopefully I'm not just speaking to a blank wall. But if I am, all good. We can always, well, someone might watch this later, or we can reuse the content. Any other questions before we wrap up here? I hope that helps. Otherwise, amazing, Josh. Appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, does that make sense? Hey, just as a bit of feedback, Josh, what out of what I just said kind of landed the most? Like, what do you remember? What's the thing you can use tomorrow, tonight, going forward to either help you begin writing or help you adapt to a question? Like, which thing are you taking away the most out of what I just said? Land and expand. I'm glad that landed, so to speak. Land and expand, came up with that a couple of months ago, just before going into the HSC. It's funny, I've been like teaching that for like 10 plus years. But then the land and expand, that's like a business term. And I realized that's a perfect way to remember what to do with a question, an unseen question. How do you adapt? Well, you've got to land on the right spot of your sentence, and then you've got to expand on it. And because it rhymes, it's memorable. So that's cool. Appreciate you, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. We were on Wednesday this week. Typically, every Tuesday night, we start from around 7:30 on the live streams. Make sure, if you haven't already, free accounts on JeddAI. Let me just put this here. Free accounts for JeddAI, which again is going to be massively updated going into 2026. Lots of cool revision and study tools for you to help you get instant feedback on your work, but also get practice questions that are realistic to know exactly what kind of mark you'd be getting. It's built by teachers and trained by students and people who have actually done it. So have a crack at it. Let us know your thoughts, if you've used it or not used it. And keen to see how it helps. But we've got some massive updates coming for term 1. So super excited for that. Check it out, Jeddle.com. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and spread the love as usual. We're getting close to the end of the year, so I imagine it's more of you will check out, but things are going to ramp up pretty quickly in the new year. But if I don't see some of you again, have a great Christmas and New Year's, and if I don't see some of you again for the rest of this year, I should say. But we'll do a live stream. We'll do a little kind of results day party live stream if we can. 18th of December it should be, where we can check in with some students, see how everyone went, and it should be a bit of fun. Hopefully not too many tears, but hey, some are always disappointed, some are super pleased, some are content. It's how it goes, but life goes on either way. All right, see you guys soon. Thanks for joining.